What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, there exists a fleet of ships so powerful and so secret that most governments don't even acknowledge it? What if this fleet has the ability to control everything beyond Earth? Well, according to declassified documents and insider accounts, this isn't just science fiction anymore. This is real. This is happening. And the truth behind this will absolutely shock you. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 3 things that will change how you see humanity's future forever. First, I'll reveal how this hidden fleet was actually discovered. Second, I'll explain why world powers are keeping it completely secret from the public. And third, I'll show you the shocking moment when this fleet revealed its true power to save an entire civilization from total destruction. But here's the thing that really gets me. Nobody talks about this. Nobody mentions it. It's like the biggest secret in human history has been hiding in plain sight. Let me show you exactly how this happened. The year is far in the future. Humanity has spread across the stars. We built colonies on distant planets. We created advanced technology beyond anything we can imagine today. But something was always hunting us. Something dark. Something powerful. Something we could never defeat. The alien forces came without warning. They were unlike anything humanity ever faced before. These weren't simple invaders. They were organized. They were ancient. They had technology that made our best weapons look like stone tools. Military commanders around the galaxy started sending desperate distress signals. Planet after planet began falling. The defense systems that humans had spent centuries building were crumbling like paper. On one particular world, the situation became critical. Earth's last remaining defense station was positioned there. Thousands of soldiers stood ready. They had the best weapons. They had the best training. But as the alien fleet approached, everyone knew the truth. They weren't going to winches. The numbers were too overwhelming. The enemy was too strong. Defeat seemed certain. Death seemed inevitable. The commander of the defense station was a woman named Captain Martinez. She had fought in dozens of battles. She had won impossible odds before. But this time, even she knew they were finished. She watched as her weapons systems reported the incoming attack. Hundreds of enemy ships. Thousands of smaller fighters. It was a wave of destruction that nothing could stop. The first explosion hit the station hard. The ground shook. Alarms screamed everywhere. Soldiers rushed to their positions. The sky above turned orange and red with fire. Enemy weapons cut through the atmosphere like deadly lightning. Earth's defense systems fired back desperately, but the enemy ships kept coming. More ships. More weapons. More death. Captain Martinez stood in the command center. Screens around her showed the battle from every angle. Each screen told the same story. They were losing. Badly. Her communications officer turned to her with tears in his eyes. The message was silent, but clear. They had maybe 10 minutes before the enemy broke through their final defenses. After that, it would be over. But then something impossible happened. The sensors started going crazy. Every alarm changed. Every screen flashed different colors. The communications officer's hands shook as he read the data. He looked at Captain Martinez with wide eyes. At first, she thought it was more bad news. Her heart sank, but then she heard his words. A ship had just appeared on the edge of their sensor range. Not an enemy ship. Not a human ship they recognized. Something else entirely. Something ancient. Something with power readings that went completely off the charts. The ship seemed to materialize from nothing. One moment the sensors showed empty space. The next moment, this massive vessel was just there. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew who controlled it. Nobody even knew if it was friendly or hostile. But as it moved closer, something miraculous happened. The enemy ships stopped attacking. They actually started retreating. The alien commanders had seen this ancient vessel, and they were terrified. They turned their ships around and began running away as fast as they could. Captain Martinez couldn't believe what she was seeing. This one ship had just changed everything. This one vessel had done what her entire defense force couldn't do. It had stopped the enemy. It had saved everyone. But the mystery was just beginning. Where did this ship come from? Who built it? How was it so incredibly powerful? And most importantly, why had nobody ever heard of it before? As the alien fleet disappeared into the darkness of space, the ancient ship maintained its position. It didn't move forward. It didn't attack. It just waited. And aboard that ship, in chambers that hadn't been opened in thousands of years, something was beginning to wake up. Something that would change humanity's place in the universe forever. Something that would reveal secrets buried so deep that even the oldest human records had forgotten about them. The ancient warship hung in space like a ghost. Its hull was covered in markings that nobody could read. Its engines glowed with a light that didn't match anything in the known universe. Scientists and military leaders from every human colony immediately began trying to contact it. They sent messages in every language they knew. They sent mathematical patterns. They sent music. They sent everything they could think of. But the ship didn't respond. It just stayed there, waiting. After 3 days of silence, something changed. A signal came from the ship. But it wasn't a message in any language. It was something more primitive. Something older. It was a pulse of pure energy that traveled through space and touched the minds of every human in the nearby star systems. And in that moment, they all understood one thing. The ship was ancient. It had been built by humans. Humans from Earth. But not modern humans. Humans from a past so distant that it seemed impossible. This ship came from an era of human history that had been completely forgotten. The history books said humanity had only been spacefaring for about 300 years. But this ship was at least 10,000 years old. Maybe older. Maybe much older. That meant something revolutionary was true. Humans hadn't just recently learned to travel through space. Humans had been doing it since ancient times. There had been a great human civilization that had spread across the stars. And then something had happened. Something catastrophic. Something that had erased all memory of them. Military commanders began gathering intelligence about the ship. Scientists started analyzing its design. What they discovered was shocking. This wasn't advanced technology by accident. This wasn't stolen from aliens. This was human engineering. Pure human innovation. Every system, every weapon, every component could be traced back to human origins. But the level of advancement was staggering. These ancient humans had achievements that modern humans were still centuries away from reaching. The ship's weapon systems alone were enough to destroy entire planetary systems. But more than that, the ship had something else. Something that took the scientists weeks to understand. Deep inside the vessel's core, there was a computer system. It was ancient, but it was still functioning. And it was still receiving orders from somewhere. From something. Historians became obsessed with finding the truth. Where had this ship come from? What civilization had built it? And why had they left it hidden for so many thousands of years? Then the breakthrough came. A team of linguists finally managed to decode some of the ship's markings. What they discovered changed everything. The markings weren't random. They were a warning. They were a message from the past to the future. The message was simple but terrifying. It said, "If you're reading this, humanity has forgotten. You are the children of the stars. But you have fallen. You have lost your way. This ship was left behind to protect you. It was left behind to remind you of what you once were." This message sparked a global investigation. Every government, every space agency, every scientist, they all wanted to know the same thing. What did it mean that humanity had fallen? What was this glorious past that had been forgotten? The ship's computer systems began slowly unlocking. Files started becoming accessible. Data from the ancient world began uploading to human computers. And what they found was beyond belief. There had been a war. Not a small war. Not a local conflict. A war that had engulfed the entire galaxy. The ancient humans had built an incredible empire. They had spread across thousands of star systems. They had achieved things that seemed like pure magic. But then something had gone wrong. An enemy had emerged. An enemy so powerful that even the united humans of the galaxy couldn't defeat them. The ancient human civilization had been forced to make a terrible choice. Retreat. Hide. Survive. Some humans had been sent to hide on Earth. Their memories were wiped clean. Their history was erased. They were given a new start as a primitive species on a single planet. They were told to rebuild slowly, carefully, safely, and the warship was left behind as a guardian, a protector, a reminder for when the time came that humans were ready to remember their true past. As more data unlocked from the ancient warship's computer systems, the picture became clearer and more shocking. Humanity didn't just have one hidden empire in space. According to the records, there were entire fleets hidden throughout the galaxy. Hundreds of warships, thousands of smaller vessels, all built by ancient humans, all left behind as insurance, all waiting for a time when modern humanity might need them. The military strategists were stunned. If these records were accurate, then humanity's true military power was almost unimaginable. The fleet that had saved the colony was just one ship. One single vessel from a fleet of hundreds. That meant humanity had the firepower to defend itself against any enemy in the galaxy. But there was a problem. Nobody knew how to control these ships. Nobody knew how to activate them. Nobody knew where they were all hidden. The scientists working on the ancient warship made a discovery that changed everything. Deep inside the ship systems, they found a network, a communication system that connected to other hidden warships throughout the galaxy. And apparently, someone or something had just activated the entire network. The hidden fleet was waking up. Ships that had been dormant for thousands of years were coming online. Their engines were starting. Their systems were powering up. And they were all beginning to move. Astronomers started detecting them. One by one. A warship appearing near the Kepler sector. Another one emerging near the Alpha Centauri region. Another one coming from the direction of the Andromeda galaxy. The scale was almost impossible to comprehend. There were more ships than anyone expected. 30, 50, maybe 100. And they kept coming. More and more ships appearing on the scanners. More and more vessels joining the fleet. But here's where it got really interesting. These ships weren't attacking anyone. They weren't taking over colonies. They weren't declaring war. They were simply taking position. Strategic positions throughout the galaxy. Places where they could monitor for threats. Places where they could respond quickly to danger. It was like they were activating a massive defense network. A protection system that had been in place for thousands of years, but had been completely forgotten. The governments of the galaxy were in chaos. Some wanted to immediately try to take control of these warships. Others wanted to study them first. Still others wanted to destroy them because they were afraid of what such power could do. But then something happened that made everyone stop and think. The ancient warship that had saved the colony sent out a broadcast. A message that reached every human settlement in the galaxy at the same time. The message was calm. It was clear. It explained that the hidden fleet had been created by ancient humanity as a final defense. A last resort. A way to protect humans from the most dangerous threats in the universe. The message explained that the fleet was not programmed to attack unless absolutely necessary. It was programmed to defend, to protect, to save lives. The warships were not tools of conquest. They were tools of survival. But the message also contained a warning. The ancient humans who had created the fleet knew something that modern humanity had forgotten. There were things out there in the universe that were dangerous beyond imagination. There were enemies that had destroyed civilizations before. There were forces that made the alien invaders seem like minor threats. The fleet existed because the ancient humans knew they might be needed. And apparently, according to the data on the ancient warship, they would be needed very soon. Scientists calculated the time stamps on the warnings. The ancient humans had recorded predictions about when threats would emerge. And according to those calculations, a major threat was coming within the next 100 years. Maybe sooner. That's why the fleet had been activated now. That's why these ancient ships were waking up. Humanity wasn't under attack. Not yet. But the danger was coming, and the hidden fleet was preparing for it. But there was something else hidden in the data. Something that even the military commanders weren't talking about in public. As scientists dug deeper into the ancient warship's records, they found references to something called the architects. This was mentioned over and over again in the ancient files. The architects had apparently been the ones who started the original human civilization across the stars. They had been incredibly advanced. They had incredible power. And according to the records, they had created humanity itself. This wasn't natural evolution. This wasn't random chance. Ancient humanity had been genetically engineered, created on purpose, designed to survive in space, designed to be intelligent, designed to be adaptable. The architects had wanted to spread a new intelligent species throughout the galaxy. But something had gone wrong. The architects had disappeared. Nobody knew where they went. Nobody knew what happened to them. But they had left behind instructions. They had left behind technology. And most importantly, they had left behind a plan. The plan was supposed to work like this. The architects would create humans and seed them throughout the galaxy. Humans would build civilizations. Humans would grow and advance. And then, when humans were ready, the architects would return and reveal themselves. They would teach humanity everything they knew. They would help humanity ascend to the next level. They would combine human potential with their own incredible knowledge. But the plan had failed. The enemy that had destroyed the ancient human civilization might have actually been created by the architects themselves. Or it might have been attracted by the architects for some reason. Either way, it had forced humans to retreat. It had forced them to hide on Earth. It had forced them to forget their true origins. The hidden fleet had been left as a backup plan. If the enemy got too close to Earth, if humanity on Earth advanced far enough, if the time was right, then the fleet would activate and protect humanity until the architects could return, or until humanity could figure out what had happened on its own. But the scientists studying the warship had discovered something even more shocking. The architects hadn't just left once. There were records of them checking in periodically. They had sent observers to Earth. They had monitored humanity's progress. And according to the most recent records, the architects had left their last message just 2,000 years ago. They said they were dealing with the enemy. They said they were trying to contain the threat. But they couldn't guarantee they would winches. The message said that if humanity didn't hear from them within 5,000 years, humanity should consider the architects gone. Dead. Destroyed. And if that happened, humanity would be on its own. Humanity would have to face whatever was out there without any help. That's why the fleet had been programmed to activate automatically after 5,000 years. That's why the ships were waking up now. Because 5,000 years had passed. And the time of waiting was over. The implications were almost too much to process. The enemy that had destroyed the ancient human civilization was still out there. Somewhere, in the darkness between stars, the architects might be gone, might be defeated, might be dead. And if they were truly gone, then the galaxy was about to face an unimaginable threat. A threat so powerful that even the ancient humans had been unable to defeat it. The hidden fleet wasn't just waking up because it was programmed to. It was waking up because the danger was returning. The sensors on the fleet were picking up something. Something far away. Something moving through space. Something heading toward the inner galaxy. And based on the trajectory, it was heading directly toward Earth. The discovery sent shockwaves through human government and military leadership. Scientists confirmed the findings. The sensors on the hidden fleet were unmistakable. Something massive was coming from the outer regions of space. Something that was moving with purpose. Something that was coming directly toward human territory. The initial panic was replaced by a strange kind of determination. For the first time in recorded history, humanity wasn't fragmented and divided. Suddenly, every government, every military, every colony, they all realized they had a common enemy. They all understood they had to work together. And they all knew that the hidden fleet was their only real hope of survival. The warships began coordinating with each other. They established positions along the outer defense lines. They powered up their weapon systems. They prepared for contact. And as they did this, something remarkable happened. Other species in the galaxy started requesting alliance with humanity. Alien races that had only been neutral before. Creatures that had never wanted anything to do with human affairs. They all wanted to join the defense. They all understood that what was coming was a threat to everyone. The humans who had forgotten their ancient past now embraced it. They studied the technologies on the old warships. They learned the ancient languages. They unlocked secrets of engineering and science that had been lost for thousands of years. Young people volunteered to join the fleet. They wanted to pilot these incredible vessels. They wanted to defend humanity's future. They wanted to prove that modern humans were worthy of the legacy they had inherited. But not everyone was happy about this development. Some people were afraid. They wanted to negotiate with the approaching threat. They wanted to hide. They wanted to run away and find safety somewhere distant. There were arguments. There were debates. Some colonies broke away. Some governments refused to cooperate. The unity that had seemed so strong began to fracture. Humanity started turning against itself again. It was then that the ancient warship sent out one final message. This message wasn't a recording from the past. This was something new. Something that the ship's artificial intelligence had composed on its own. It was addressing modern humanity directly. It was speaking as a descendant of the ancient humans who had built the fleet. And it had something important to say. The message explained that the ancient humans who had created the fleet had left behind more than just weapons and technology. They had left behind a philosophy, a way of thinking, a belief system that had kept humanity united for thousands of years, even in the darkest times. That philosophy was simple. Humanity survives together, or humanity doesn't survive at all. There was no middle ground. There was no compromise. Unity or extinction. That was the choice. The message resonated with people everywhere. Colonies that had broken away started rejoining the defense network. Governments that had refused to cooperate began working together. Ordinary people from every walk of life came forward to help in whatever way they could. Scientists worked on improving the fleet. Engineers worked on activating dormant warships. Farmers and builders supplied food and equipment. Everyone had a role to play. Then the moment everyone had been waiting for arrived. The approaching threat became visible, not just as a blip on a sensor screen, as actual ships visible through telescopes. And what people saw took their breath away. It was massive. It was ancient. It was moving like a cloud of locusts across the stars. It was the same enemy that had destroyed the original human civilization. It was here. It was real. And it was almost at their doorstep. The hidden fleet moved into formation. Hundreds of ancient warships positioned themselves between the approaching enemy and human space. The new humans of the modern age stood alongside the automated systems of the ancient ships. For the first time in 10,000 years, humanity was united. Humanity was ready. Humanity would face this enemy as one. The battle that would determine humanity's future was about to begin. But here's what absolutely nobody saw coming. When the first enemy ship came into weapons range, something unexpected happened. The hidden fleet didn't attack immediately. Instead, they broadcast a message in a language that nobody had heard in 10,000 years. A language from the time of the architects. And the enemy ship stopped. They actually stopped moving. They didn't attack. They didn't retreat. They just hung there in space. And then a response came back. A message in the same ancient language. And what that message contained was a truth that changed everything. The enemy wasn't an enemy at all. It was a human fleet. An older human fleet. The original human civilization hadn't been destroyed. It had just gone into hiding. Even deeper hiding than anyone had imagined. They had been waiting, testing, watching to see if modern humanity was worthy of reunion. If this revelation opened your eyes to the incredible truth about humanity's hidden past, then you need to watch our next investigation, where we explore what happened when the two human fleets finally made contact. So let's recap the three biggest takeaways from this story. First, humanity has a hidden past that stretches back at least 10,000 years across the stars. Second, an entire fleet of ancient warships was left behind by our ancestors to protect us if we ever faced extinction. And third, modern humanity has finally proven itself worthy of inheriting that incredible legacy by choosing to unite instead of divide. This story shows us something powerful, something that modern civilization desperately needs to remember. We are stronger together than we are apart. When we face a common threat, we can accomplish things that seem impossible. We can tap into abilities we didn't even know we possessed. If you loved this deep dive into humanity's secret history and the hidden technology that could change everything, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We release incredible stories like this every single week. But I have something special for you. If you want to go deeper into these mysteries, join our exclusive community on our website. We share research, discussions, and exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else. The link is in the description below. Here's my question for you. If you discovered that humanity had a hidden past like this, what would you want to know first? Comment below and let me know your thoughts. Let's build this community together. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next investigation.